I think something that's kind of making me lean towards it, like coming out obviously like this year and being a real thing, is we got Pokemon Legends Arceus coming out in January, which that game is probably going to benefit from having a more powerful Nintendo Switch. I do believe that game is going to be a lot better than what we saw it as, but I also do think on a modern Switch, it might be a little rough still. So I don't know. That's the only thing where I would see if it's getting announced that early for that, for January of next year, that we might actually see something this year.
Pokemon? You say Pokemon? Because that was a fun controversy this week.
Yeah, it's been an interesting content. I've never seen so many people angry about the positions of Pokemon on a
weirdo
game
shit.
Cover.
Do we want to transition into what's? Go ahead, MVG.
Oh, I was going to say. I mean, we need the boycotts. We need the
They said 2022 for a release date, and then they said January 2022, and people are like, ah! Like,
yeah,
what?
we need that.
They said early 2022.
What's wrong with you?
And they
that's as early as you can get, really.
Yeah, they meant it. They really said.
The more discourse on Twitter, the more copies it's going to sell overall. Right? We need a good boycott. So let's get that boycott going.
Well, MVG,
I was cover controversies. So
I wanted to ask MVG something, because I was told that it's common knowledge that all games are supposed to be developed in about it's rushed if it's 3 years or less. And you're a developer, so is this is common knowledge amongst all games? That's what I was told by many people.
I couldn't believe when I was reading that people are upset that the game is already, it's going to get released in January as opposed to like later. People are upset that the game's coming out earlier than later. That doesn't make any sense to me.
So
let
me go this route then, just to present it. The issue I think we're running into is they haven't shown us enough of the game to have actual confidence behind it, because what they showed us was pretty rough.
Yeah, but I mean, that was I kind of took that away as more of a tease than anything. I didn't feel like that was something that. Yeah, exactly. I didn't feel like it was anything that
phrase of the night
they necessarily needed to show us Arceus, but I think they just wanted to show it to us and get people excited about it. And to Jordan's point, if the Switch Pro comes out, which it will, this game will take advantage of.
Hold on, what the Switch developer says it's going to come out?
Confirmed.
It will take advantage of the new hardware, and I think that leap in visual fidelity and frame rate and all that stuff will really make people just forget about the existing trailer that they saw of the game.
I think one of the biggest problems with Arceus is that for some reason there are members of the Pokemon community and its Twitter accounts and some of the YouTube channels with these content creators that focus primarily on Pokemon games, is that they have convinced the community that the phrase at the bottom of gameplay trailers or gameplay footage, work in progress, means nothing. And it means a lot. It means it is a work in progress. What you are seeing is not final. What we saw of Arceus, for all we know, that particular build could have been 6 months old.
Yeah.
We don't know. And if people look to that and they try to say, well, that's what the final product is going to be, or if you believe that's what the final product is going to be, you're doing yourself a disservice. It says work in progress. It will improve. The game is still, 8 months away from release.
Yeah.
And people think, oh, that's not a lot of time. That's a lot of time for polish, because you don't know the state of the game is in at this moment. And people assume like, oh, this game's only been in development for a year. No, you don't know when the game started development. It's substantially more than a year ago.
It's definitely been longer than that, because you can tell while they've had other stuff come out that this has definitely been their biggest priority. Shifting development of the remakes to another team that's not Game Freak, and it's just seeing how they're handling a bunch of the Pokemon stuff right now. They really want to make some sort of statement with this game. But could this game be bad? Absolutely. Could it be everything it lives up to? Sure. But we have roughly 8 months until this game comes out, and the difference of why we haven't seen anything yet is for something like Diamond and Pearl, which we'll probably start seeing more of, but not as much, because they're the remake games. They're coming out, they're going to be fun, but Pokemon's focusing on Arceus, and if it was a regular release for November, we usually get an announcement in February and drip fed stuff throughout the year. Obviously that this is a little bit further than November by a couple months, maybe around E3 or a little after E3 is when we're going to start getting drip fed information about Arceus and how it's looking and what's going on. It's the cycle that they've done. They just had to shift it a little bit because the game's not coming out in November, but they have 2 games coming out in November, and then 2 months later, they're having this massive game come out. So they have a lot to focus on, and I'm sure we're going to see stuff soon. We're going to get a lot of our questions answered, but Nintendo always does this, a lot of the stuff with their major releases. We don't know a lot about stuff usually until right before it comes out. It's very few and far between. We know a lot about something way before it comes out, which has also backfired in the past. Look at us still talking about a logo for Metroid Prime 4. If they wouldn't have said anything, we would just be like, hey, where's Metroid? But now we're like, hey, where's Metroid? And we're a little bit different in our attitude towards it.
I almost wonder if they just didn't show that gameplay and they just had like a little cinematic thing going just to give the premise of it without showing in-game visuals, if people would still be like frustrated or worried right now at that release date being too early.
Yes. They would.
Yes.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if they showed something, if they didn't. People would still be worried, and the game would still be #1 on Amazon, or it'd still sell a bunch. So it doesn't really matter. What I've realized with some of these people is like you just have a lot of uneducated people in the Pokemon universe that like to talk because the base is just big. So you hear more. But based off of what you hear online, you would think that Sword and Shield would sell 2 copies. So with Pokemon, just in general, people just like to just say whatever. They have no filter with Pokemon. So usually people have filters. Even the Metroid community has a filter. But I've seen like the Pokemon community has almost no filter online. They just say whatever, whether it's right or wrong, they'll just say whatever they want. And they don't care nobody's going to convince them otherwise because they're disappointed with something, but they don't like Sword and Shield or no national decks or something like that. So they'll just say what they want and they don't care if they're right or wrong on it, man. They'll just say stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, well, I give them credit for actually showing us that work in progress stuff. Like, they didn't have to do any of that. They could have just kept quiet about it, all this time, and then just like not shadow dropped it, but like it's coming out, next month or something, and everyone's like really hyped about it. I think it's really cool that they did that.
It was a bonus,
Absolutely.
No one, up until literally like a couple nights before the announcement, no one was expecting more than the remakes, is what we were guessing. So to not only get remakes happening, but taking Pokemon in a new direction for whether this is their new mainline ideas or if this is just something they want to try and see if they can have another spin-off series, then
yes.
this is a big deal. No one asked for that. Like no one was saying, "Oh, I wonder if they're going to do this." We've joked around about an open world Pokemon game, and then when one finally shows up, it's just more of the same banter back and forth. It's like can we just wait a little bit until they actually show us more or talk about it? Like, yeah, there was some rough aspects of it, and it's fine to call that out. But when there's nothing, and to make something out of nothing in between it's a little bit ridiculous.
I've been pretty rough on Game Freak when it comes to that because they're so cookie cutter with their stuff. So when they actually revealed this, I was like, you know what, that's cool. And then they showed that there's only going to be one version of the game, and I was like, wow, that's surprising. So
it's the game that all the old men want, all the fucking kids who were 11, 12, 13 playing the original Pokemon Red and Blue. This is the game that we had dreamed up in our mind, so now it's finally coming to fruition.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I assume they're going to show us a new trailer soonish, maybe, for Arceus.
I would expect soon.
Yep. I think they will. It's going to be a lot better. And I mean, it's going to be right there with the Pro, right? When it drops. So it's going to sell a lot of units.
I feel like it sounds like they're going to do something before E3 with the Pokemon stuff. But even if they were like, we'll just throw the Arceus trailer into the E3 presentation, that'd be fine too. Just to give some people a little bit more to look at for the game, and maybe set some concerns to the side by showing off the better aspects of the game, or maybe just better looking game. So it's
rare that we get box art, posters, images, and a release date without having an attached trailer or some marketing with it. So I assume that they could have released it early due to hype, and then are going to show something impressive.
It's rare, Jordan, having that release timing be so small between Diamond and Pearl and then Arceus. It's like what, 2 months or something like that, 2.5 months.
That just makes me think that's
pretty quick.
They have a lot of plans for next year as well, and they've spaced out their stuff. I think we're going to get another big Pokemon game, obviously November of next year, and maybe some other stuff sprinkled in between. Maybe Pokemon Sleep finally comes out of its slumber and gives us some updates. It was just the 2-year anniversary the other day of that. So I don't know. There's a lot of stuff coming out with Pokemon next year. I know this year's the anniversary, but there's also been a lot of other issues going on in the world that kind of push back a lot of plans. So
sure.
Oh, sure. Just a couple things.
The whole Rugrats controversy.
The Rugrats, yeah, that was about to say. That was a big one for sure.
Okay.